Hello, welcome to Universal Diecast Racing. Hope y'all had a wonderful Memorial weekend and is ready for the finals of the best tournament. We got the four cars here racing today. We got the Mastretta MXR, the 2015 Corvette, and so for the finals, they'll be running 8 lap race and switch positions after the fourth race. But we got the Seaflow 2 and the Corvette ZR1, which I'll be calling the Corvette ZR1 and the other Corvette just Corvette, since we have two Corvettes today. And starting off for the first race, we got the Mastretta and Corvette in the front and the ZR1 and Seaflow in the back. And they're off with the Corvette and Seaflow taking on a great lead in front of everybody. And the Seaflow catching up on the Corvettes in the loop turn to put pressure on them, trying to find an opening before the finish line. Oh, and the Corvette falls off right at the finish line. Hopefully he's able to stay on track before he fell off. And the ZR1 stuck up on the loop turn with the Mastretta. Let's see if we can see what happened to them on the replay. But this really shows how fast the Seaflow is to close that gap between them two right at the loop turn. Oh, look at that. I've never seen that before. It looks like the Mastretta gets caught up. The barrel gets caught up under the Mastretta and causes him to flip over in a loop turn. And the ZR1 just takes the turn badly and just flips right over on his lid. Look at that great pressure with the Seaflow and the Corvette. I'm not for sure if the Corvette stayed on the track. It looks like he might have with the rooftop of his car. But we're going to leave it up to the judges to see if he stayed on track or not. So we got the ZR1 with the Mastretta in the front with 0. And the Seaflow with 5. And the Corvette with 0. Which they gave it to the Seaflow. Oh, look at the ZR1 got stuck up on a rail and slowing himself down, allowing the Mastretta and Corvette to get out, but the Corvette's putting great pressure on Mastretta and caused him to do a cartwheel and loop and slowing the Corvette down, allowing everybody to catch up with the Seaflow going right under the Corvette ZR1. Sorry. Here's that great pressure that the Corvette been putting on the Mastretta, causing him to go sideways and do a cartwheel in a loop turn, and somehow still able to keep going, not fall and DNFing. But he ends up slowing the Corvette down, allowing everybody to catch up and do a quick pile up with the Seaflow going right under the ZR1. I guess the great advantage of being so low to the ground. But we got the Seaflow in the front with the ZR1 and the Corvette and the Mastretta in the back. And they're off with coming out quite even this time. This is like the Seaflow is getting out ahead with the Corvette right behind them. It's taking off right by each other, and the Corvette crashes right before the loop turn, just allowing the Seaflow just to take this one. If he was able to stay on the track before at the finish line with the Mastretta, you might have not even passed him past the finish line because of the Seaflow blocking the finish line. But a terrible crash by the Corvette at the loop turn. Thought he was going to flip over for a second. But as far as the Seaflow comes out strong, but just gets loose after the 45-degree turn, and it seemed like he might have passed the finish line with his tail end on the track. I'm not for sure with the Mastretta. Seems to crash and possibly pass the finish line. I still can't tell with that speed. Let's slow it down a little bit more, and nope. Just wasn't able to push the Seaflow back enough to pass that finish line. He just catches airborne right before the finish line, unfortunately. But let's look at the point scoring after race 3. We got the ZR1 with 4, the Mastretta with 5, the Corvette with 3, and the Seaflow with 12, which only separates the Corvette and Seaflow by 2 points. The Corvette got a good advantage up front with the Seaflow, and the Mastretta and the ZR1 in the back. And they're off with the Seaflow taking on a good lead from the rest of the racers to the open track. But no, the Corvette slingshots out, passes them on the inside lane, and just takes a huge lead in front of everybody. Slows down a little bit, but it's not enough for anybody to catch up. He's just not going to give up those points so easily for Seaflow to expand his lead. But who knows if this Corvette even finished, falling off right at the finish line once again. But look at this amazing pass once again with the Corvette and Seaflow on the inside lane, just really showing off his speed and taking a great lead from the rest of the cars. And the cameraman might keep his job for another day, so being able to see what's happening on the loop turn better. And the Mastretta just get loose off the loop turn and seems to just cause him to flip over in the turn. But I'm still not sure on the Corvette finishing or not. Looked like he might do the same thing as the Mastretta in the last race and just catch the airball right before the finish line, but I'm not for sure. His tip of his nose might have still been on the track, but we're gonna leave it to the judges to check, see if he gets those points or not. But let's look at the point scoring after round 1. We got the ZR1 with 6, Mastretta with 5, and the Corvette with 8, and the Seaflow with 15. With the Seaflow taking a huge lead in front of everybody. We got the ZR1, the Seaflow up front with the Corvette and the Mastretta in the back. Which is good to switch up the racers so they won't be able to really get used to the person next to them as they race down and keep it more unpredictable. With the Mastretta coming up on the Seaflow, but everybody putting pressure on back of him. Seaflow gets out, and here comes the Mastretta putting pressure on the Seaflow now with a nice good last push at the finish line. With a little bit more track, he might have just gotten it. I believe this is the closest we ever seen all 4 racers bunched up on top of the track without anybody slowing each other down. Just putting great pressure and trying to just find an opening for each one, but everybody just holding the positions throughout the race. But we got the Corvette and the ZR1 up front with the Mastretta and Seaflow in the back. With the Corvette having inside lane advantage, just want to see if the ZR1 is able to keep up with them. To keep a nice close race this time around too. But note, the Corvette shoots out ahead and just takes a commanding lead in front of everybody, putting an iron foot on the gas pedal, just holding it and able to stay on track to the finish line this time. And it seems like we lost the Seaflow and Mastretta. See what happens to them. It seems like the Seaflow gets turned sideways, the Mastretta just gets stuck behind them before turn 2. But look at that huge lead between the Corvette and ZR1. It just makes it look like the ZR1 is just taking a nice stroll to the finish line. Even with the Corvette getting snaky out after the loop turn, still had such a big lead that the ZR1 had no chance to catch it up. But look at the Seaflow and Mastretta just stuck up top with the bushes of the lake. So for round 2, we got Mastretta with 3, the Corvette with 6, the Seaflow with 5, and ZR1 with 5. With the Mastretta with the inside advantage, not taking the opportunity, with the Corvettes taking on a good lead, but the Mastretta is pulling up behind them, really trying to catch up, but the Corvette still pulled far ahead. with nobody else in sight. And everybody seems to finish this race. And see, like, the Seaflow is trying to put great pressures on the ZR1 at the finish line, was just unable to pass. Well, let's look at the place scoring after race 6 or 7. We got the ZR1 with 13, Mastretta with 11, Corvette with 19, and Seaflow with 21, which only separate the Corvette and Seaflow with 2 points. But the Seaflow got an advantage on this race, being up front with the Mastretta and the ZR1 and the Corvette in the back. And they're off, with the Mastretta taking a little bit of lead over the Seaflow and maybe able to get out for him. No, but the Seaflow catches up and passes the Mastretta and the Corvette to take first place. And see, like, they're unable to catch up to the Seaflow to cause him to not be able to get first place for the win, with the Corvette somehow coming in second with no Mastretta DNFing. The speed of the Seaflow just to get past both cars up to the open track to take first, but unfortunately the Corvette was not able to get out front before the Seaflow and pass up the Mastretta to take first place to cause a tiebreaker. But look at this nice pass on your upper left hand corner, with the Corvette going on the inside of the Mastretta to take second place. He never gave up, kept on pushing just in case that Seaflow might have DNF. The Corvette would have took the championship or even just tied it up for tiebreaker. But congratulations to the Seaflow for being the first ever winner of the Best of the Best tournament. I hope you enjoy watching, and you'll return for our next tournament, and we'll see you next time back in the cut.